Hello, BookTube, and I hope everyone's fantastic on this Friday. Long weekend for me, and I'm wearing my, it's kind of a cult, kind of a top, innit? Yes. I walk around the streets of Merseyside looking like this. What it is, it's still quite humid in the UK, and I'm a hairy guy, so I need like really light fabric around me at the moment. Otherwise, I'm suffering. I'm suffering. so this is more of a discussion type of a video and people's opinions on these three fantasy classics I've got here. I mean, they're all from the same era, same generation. So we're talking the late 40s, 1950s. So you probably guess one of them already, because one of them is super famous and the other two are famous. So, and I think I'll show them my preference, and then leave a comment down below about what you think of these books and if you've read them, and if you've not read them, is there something that's putting you off of reading them? And I do love all these books. I've read them multiple times. So the first one is obviously the most famous one. This is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Look at that edition. Isn't she beautiful? I've also got the Hobbit and the Silmarillion in this kind of this flavour. They're different colours, but they're up there. So, I don't actually describe what's going on in The Lord of the Rings, surely. If you don't, I might just lie to you. They're about two chipmunks. Some of the language and some of the literature, some of the language in here is fantastic. It really is good. I mean, Tolkien was a professor of the English language, wasn't he? Some of the statements in here are better to come never than late. Whoa. And when you think about it, that's a deep statement, that little line there. That's all about survivor's guilt, really, you know. Well, and especially from Tolkien's time in the Somme and stuff like that. And this is if you're a fantasy fanatic, how have you not read The Lord of the Rings? It's been so influential. I mean, what's the one thing, multiple things that's putting you off from reading The Lord of the Rings? Because I can think of some off the top of my head here. I mean, everyone, you see some people, don't you, especially on BookTube, who rate Lord of the Rings as in they don't like it, saying, oh, it's just a book where they walk about. Have you read The Lord of the Rings? I don't think you have. But if you're saying to me that there's a book and it's got a ton of songs in there, which is sometimes randomly placed, I'll be like, yeah. And this book has got them. There are times where the characters are just standing around talking, not doing very much, just eating lambas. And to what bothers me every time I read The Fellowship of the Ring is when Frodo and Merry, Pippin and Sam are hiding from the ring raves, and they're in Bree, and they're supposed to be staying on the cover, aren't they? And then Frodo gets up on the table and does a jig, puts on the ring. What are you doing, Frodo? You're supposed to be keeping this under wraps, kid. And then there's other things as well, like in the Two Towers, the chapter when Merry and Pippin meet Treebeard is probably 3 times longer than the whole of the Battle of Helm's Deep. So if you want that kind of like visual, climatic fantasy scenes like you get in modern fantasy now, The Lord of the Rings is not going to give you that. It's more backstory. It's a lot. It's better done. Basically, it's how an author of that time writes, and it reads like that. That was a very generalistic statement, wasn't it? I mean, my personal biggest gripe with The Lord of the Rings is, oh, I'm waiting for you Lord of the Rings nerds now, is put Tom Bombadil in the bin. The whole chapter's about the Old Forest and the Barrow Downs. Tom Bombadil, Goldberry, put them in the bin. I think Tolkien did he write those chapters earlier on when he was writing the Lord of the Rings? Because those chapters to me fit better in The Hobbit rather than the Lord of the Rings. I think it. But one of my biggest problems with those chapters is it takes power away from the ring. You know, because Tom doesn't care about it, does he? I know. Oh, you know, there's nobody more powerful than Tom in the Old Forest, but come on, this is the one. This is what the big bad guy is. You know, they should have gone in there, and Tom was like, "Oh no, you need to get out of the Old Forest because this thing is, you know, taking my power from me," or something like that. I don't know. I don't think Tom Bombadil fits quite well in this book at all, and I think that's why Peter Jackson excluded him from the films too. Look at me complaining about it. I've just rinsed it, haven't I? I do love The Lord of the Rings, and you definitely should read The Lord of the Rings. It's incredibly influential. I don't think it's difficult to read at all. Yeah, so that is The Lord of the Rings. Classic, I believe that came out in 1954. I'm not sure if all of them came out in 1954, but I know the Fellowship of the Ring did. Oh, this one, I probably read The Lord of the Rings the most out of these 3 books. And I've read this one probably the least. I think I've only done this twice. And it's stuck with me. This is the Gormenghast trilogy by Melvin Peake. I believe this is, out of all 3, then this is probably the earliest. I think this is the late 40s. This book, when I read this book, I didn't think I was going to get that much out of it. Oh my. I think it's got one of the best bad guys of any fantasy series ever in Steerpike. Oh, he's probably the most real of all bad guys in fantasy. And some of the descriptions in this book, you feel like you're living in the Gormenghast castle, where it's dead claustrophobic, it's grim, it's gothic, and or you think, oh, I'm going to walk around this corridor, I'm going to get stabbed. Gormenghast is fantastic. It's all about Steerpike, the baddie, trying to raise up in the ranks and basically take over the castle. That's basically the flavour of the book. Now, I did this to The Lord of the Rings. The bad side about the trilogy is, unfortunately, Melvin died before he could finish it. So the last book, Titus. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you to die. So it's Titus Groan, the first one, and then it's Gormenghast, and then it's Titus Alone. And Titus Alone wasn't finished, and his wife published it just to complete the trilogy. So it's pretty weak. But the first 2, but don't let it put you off. The first 2 in this series is fantastic. The descriptions and the way the characters act, it does pull you in. It's an incredibly quick read. I went through this like a nutter, like that like that robot. What's a robot called? Oh, short circuit. What? Johnny. It's Johnny. Johnny Five's alive. Yeah. So so the Gormenghast trilogy is fantastic, and it's definitely up there. You should read it. You should read it more than Lord of the Rings, but that's my personal opinion. And then the last one, this one's pretty famous as well. This is The Once and Future King by D.H. White. I love this book. If you don't know, it's about King Arthur. And The Once and Future King is the 5 books that he wrote about it. Let's see if I can remember off the top of my head. So you've got The Sword and Stone. You've got the Witch in the Woods. The Ill-Made Knight. The Candle in the Wind, and then the Book of Merlin. They're the 5. Once a Future King is a fantastic work of literature. T.H. White wrote it when he was trying to avoiding conscription at the time. I know he was very anti-war, and he left because of that. This is what this book was trying to get across, especially towards the end. There's better ways of going about doing things. And everybody knows the tale of the Sword and Stone, don't they? Where there's a young wart who meets Merlin, the crazy wizard, and he transforms him into different fish and all that. And then as the books go on, you meet Guinevere and Lancelot, and then how they start to get backstabbing on Arthur, and how it's Arthur's bastard son that rises up against him, using Lancelot and Guinevere's adultery against him, basically. And the whole series concludes with the Book of Merlin, which is fantastic. Absolutely love the Book of Merlin. It's when Arthur goes back down again to talk with the animals and Merlin, and goes through several transformations to basically get him back in touch with nature. And when Arthur finally leaves the den, he's like the wisest ever fantasy character in existence. And the book doesn't end on a happy note, but it's still fantastic. This is a hugely influential piece of work. I absolutely love it. I love it more than Lord of the Rings and the Gormenghast trilogy. You should owe yourselves to read The Once and Future King. It is fantastic. Some say there's a dip in quality in The Old Maid Knights, because I think that's the longest out of all 5 books. But I just don't think so. I think it just pulls you in straight away, and it's humorous. It's fantasy done right. It's fantasy done right, kids. And yeah, they're the 3 classics fantasy that everyone, I think, should read. And I hope you like that, BookTube. And I might be back for another video because I've finished work early. And I'll see you soon. Bye, BookTube.